So good morning, everyone, and welcome to Inside Fashion Design's community conversation. I am pleased today to be speaking with Silvia Corvina. Did I say that? Was I close?
Correia.
Correia. And she's joining us from Portugal, and I'm so excited to have her. I learned recently about her work and her efforts in the sustainability space, and super inspired and very impressive the work that she's done. So thank you for joining us today. And I'll just start off by having Silvia give a brief outline of her background because she wasn't specifically in fashion. She studied economics, she worked in banking, you've worked in marketing, events and exhibitions and fairs and whatnot. And then you, during COVID, transitioned into this business. And she is going to share with us a presentation about her business now, re.store. And so why don't we just start? Silvia, I'll let you do a quick introduction of your background, and then we can dive into what you have to share with us today.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Britta. It's just a pleasure to actually be here and be able to share re.store's presentation, the impact that we have. So, like you said, my name is Silvia. I'm Portuguese. I've got a degree in economics, but I've always worked with volunteer projects, and the social issue has always been present in my life. So I always wanted to work with something where I could actually bring some impact into the society and where I live in the community. So I worked in the bank, but I also worked with textiles in the textile business, but as an industry. 20 years ago, more or less, when I came back from Italy. And that's where textiles came into my life, but I never thought I would end up with a brand with textiles. But basically, like I was telling a friend of mine very recently, I feel like everything that I've done professionally and personally in these last years looks like it was meant to bring me to this road and to bring me to re.store. So that's in re.store, I could actually apply everything I learned and worked for, and actually to create the impact that I was looking for. Yes.
Yeah, I love that, because you never really know where the road is going to lead you. And at the time, you might be working in some industry or market that you don't realize is really going to affect and give you that experience for your future endeavors. So I'm sure your background has been very helpful in forming this organization and the work that you do.
Yeah, that's how I feel. And basically, it all makes sense when you start adding up the pieces of the puzzle. Everything makes sense when you look at re.store and see that what we've done, what we want to do, what we've accomplished. And if I hadn't been, if my degree in economics wasn't there, it would be tougher to run the organization. If I hadn't worked in marketing, I wouldn't be able to actually add that skill to the project. If I hadn't been working with textiles and knowing everything about the production of textiles in the largest home textile company in Portugal and probably in Europe, wouldn't bring me these technical skills. So everything is like an equation that brings it together. Yes.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So do you want to go ahead and start sharing your
yes, that would be
background
nice.
About is it working?
I hope so. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Yep, we can see.
Okay, so I'll start. Well, basically, re.store is what we call, and our claim is we are the planet and people friendly brand, because those are together with the third, because our strategic plan always takes into account 3 P's. The first P is for planet, because we promote social inclusion. The second P, people, sorry, the other way around. The second P is people for inclusion, the planet, of course, for sustainability. And the third P, which is not here, but I'll talk about it later, it's called pedagogy for change. So that's what we try to do with our work. We try to bring these pedagogy into organizations and also into our clients, so that they understand that they really need to change their habits and they need to be more responsible, and they need to understand that we have to optimize our resources and make good use of, in some cases, we have as a waste. So I would like to try with a small video, short video in this case. Let's see if we can go through it.
Did you know that RE.store products go through a complete production cycle from the collection of fabrics to the completion of the final product? It's true, it all starts in the very typical textile factories in the north of Portugal. There, we collect all the textile surpluses or waste that would no longer be used and would end up being incinerated, polluting our planet even more. After collecting these textile fabrics, we carry out their quality control and choose to make the most suitable ones to make our accessories. Once the choice has been made, it's time to distribute the material to our social partners. A very fun moment to see the desire that these unique people have to contribute to an active, fairer, and more inclusive society. From the sewing of the fabrics to the use of twine in the plantable labels that accompany each RE.store product, everything is assured by their hands. Once the products are finished, we collect them again from the social partners. And when we arrive at the company, we check their quality and production so that we can communicate these new arrivals at our store. This is a little piece of our day-to-day so that together we can continue the path for the social inclusion of our people and for the sustainability of our planet. Will you help us to change many small worlds?
So this last sentence is definitely what we want and ask people to do, is to help us change many small worlds. And this is basically what we are focused on. Like I normally say, we do not intend to change the world. That would be very presumptuous of us. But we do want, and our purpose is actually to change many small worlds, one at a time, every day. And if we are able to do that, then our mission is accomplished. So the video has already shown, the mechanics, how we do it. But if we go a little bit deep, so who's RE.store? RE.store was created in April 2020, so right at the beginning of the pandemic. As I normally say, I listened. I love reading, and one of the things I read from Winston Churchill is like, never throw a good crisis to waste, in the meaning like if the opportunity arises, if it's there just right in front of you, just take it, seize it. And that's basically what I did, me together with my team, of course. But we decided to create this project also as part of a social responsibility project of the other company that we have in terms of marketing and communication. And we thought that this was the time to actually tackle this problem of textile waste and also the footprint of the Portuguese textile industry, which is a large industry and a very important industry in the country. So making use of my knowledge within the industry, it was easy to actually reach out to a couple of factories and understand what they do with their waste, in the sense like leftovers, samples, color tests that didn't go well through the whole process, and what do they do with it? Because for them, it's literally something that they cannot use. So we were trying to find a way to actually transform this into products that are functional, because this is very important. Products that serve a purpose so that consumers can actually use them. And so that we also bring an added value to this chain. And that's how we started. And we thought, okay, let's start with something that is being, at least in Europe and specifically in Portugal, was being very enforced, which was the tote bag, the fabric tote bag. And everybody and retailers and all that were insisting on that. So we thought it would be an interesting breakthrough product to actually launch the company, and that's what we did. So that was our first product, the tote bag. So we wanted to create something that could be unique, could be differentiated, well, hence the marketing issue. So we cannot bring a product just because we're reusing the fabrics. It doesn't make it unique, because if we don't communicate that, the people will not understand. So we needed something to actually create a concept, and that's what we did when we added the social part, because it's something that is very dear to me since a long time, since I was a scout since my 6 years old. So it brings it up to me. So I wanted to, you know, merge the two worlds together, the sustainable and the social, and that's what we did with RE.store. We were able to actually add this and to promote this inclusion in society, the integration. Like I normally say, we teach people how to fish, we don't give them how to fish, okay? So we started with social institutions in Portugal, and this was the right move in April, because everybody was in lockdown. They didn't allow people to go in, and RE.store was one of the very few people, and me in particular, to be able to go in, because we were bringing work, we were bringing occupation, and we were bringing money, because once I collected the goods, it was money that they could use for a lot of purposes. But soon we were able, and the market was very generous with us, so we were able to actually expand to other clients. And social institutions were not enough for our offer, so we decided to enlarge the scope of our action. So that's when we brought in partnerships with refugees, with active aging, with other social causes that we are actually embracing. And of course, all this money, all this work is paid for, and paid in a way that is very generous, because if I did all this in a factory, I would pay less, of course, because it would be mass production, which I don't want. So how do we do this? I've already said. So we promote social inclusion through our unique people within their differences. That's how we refer to our people. We optimize the usage of the planet's resources, so we will avoid the destruction of fabrics, in this case, up to now 5.1 tons. And together with these two, we create what we call actions for pedagogy for change in various terms. So our impact KPIs in the past 30 months more or less, that's, you know, our activity range, are two main ones, which we are trying to convert also into others. So in terms of money, what have we been able to pay to our social partners? More than 50,000 euros, which is a drop, but it's RE.store's drop. And if everybody contributes with a drop to the ocean, we'll definitely have a better ocean. So we're working on this. Actually, within a month, we'll be adding some more money to this. So every time we pay our social partners, this number increases. This is also a visible fact. So 5.1 tons of repurposed fabrics from the Portuguese textile industries. So everything that we buy and repurpose, of course, we add it to the list so that we can actually communicate what we're doing in a very objective way. We are working in a process with one of the factories that we want to also to transform this into two other KPIs. One of them is like water use. So if I had to produce 5.1 tons of fabric, how much water would I have to invest in this process? And this way I can also tell the RE.store community, like we were in your case, gallons of water, so that it didn't go to waste as well. So we started with just one product, like I said, so the tote bag, but now we have in our portfolio more than 18, sorry. Most of the products, okay, come from us in terms of creativity, but one of the things that I love is that a lot of them have been created in a co-creation process, because our tribe and people around RE.store and that meet RE.store, they feel entitled, and rightly so, to actually come to us and say, what if we did this product, because it would be nice, because you could use it. And this for us is absolutely fantastic, because it means that our tribe feels like RE.store is also their brand. And that's exactly what we do. I normally say, okay, I created the name, I created the concept, but re.store, I mean, it's not my brand anymore for a long time. And that's really what it should be, because it's a community brand. So from shopping bags to beach bags, backpacks, iPad bags that we do, eyeglass or cell phone bags as well. We have soap and shampoo bags made from terry towels, which is also a very interesting trend from now, because everybody's using, I don't know in the US, but I think so as well, the solid soaps, both for the hair and so I think it's something that brings a lot of value to the table. Another thing that is so important in terms of impact is these facial cleansing discs. Because if you buy our set, which brings like a little pouch and 5 of these discs, I mean, they last for more than 2 years. So you're saving all those cotton pads for more than 2 years, okay? Because you can wash it you can wash it both by hand or in the washing machine. So it's really important. We also work with terry necessary bags, coming out of towels, multi-use bags, padded necessary bags, which is one of the latest products added to the portfolio, and it was very, very interesting product for the Christmas, also cosmetic brands that wanted to do the coffrets. And so instead of using paper and plastic boxes, they used our nécessaire, and this way they put the products inside and they were able to offer it as a gift as well. We also have aprons, door hangers for hotels, which are really nice, up in the doors. Well, beach pillows that are also very nice. The beach pillows actually was a very interesting creation process, because last year, actually 1 year today, I started the Santiago Camino. I don't know if that says you guys, but I would imagine so, because I found a lot of Americans on the way.
Yes,
so
I want to do that. It's on my bucket list.
Okay, so actually I started it 1 year today, now that I'm thinking about it. So I needed to be very careful with what I would carry on my backpack, because every ounce counts. And I didn't have like a small pillow to stay in the hostels, or just, to stop on the way to read, to whatever. So I decided to actually add this, and it was really interesting because it's very light, it's very small, you can actually put it in a backpack, and it's leftovers of our leftovers, meaning when sometimes we cut for the tote bags or other products, I mean, you always have like leftovers that you cannot use, okay? So we always keep that and say, okay, what are we going to do this? One day I'll come up with something. So this was the something. And inside the filling is a very interesting process as well, because we have a duvet or eiderdown company that I know, also here in the north of Portugal. And when we go there, every time we do, like they do a duvet, they have to finish the duvet. There are like 10 centimeter, I don't know in inches, but something like that comes out of every single meter that they do in terms of eiderdown, and that's literally incinerated.
And that's like a polyfill or something, isn't it?
Yes. So, but high quality, because I mean this is everything for exports, which means that everything is certified and needs to be very carefully taken and all that. So what we do, we take that little fabric, like 10 centimeters fabric with a filling inside. We take the filling and we use it for products like the pillow. So we're bringing added value to the textile chain as well. So we started with fabrics, now we have the fillings, and we have many other things that are coming up now. The buttons, also the straps and now I found also a factory that creates a lot of straps and other things for home textiles that you include in the products. So they have loads of leftovers, defects, but also 10 meters of that, 20 meters of that, and they have like a whole bunch of things just there collecting dust. And so I arrived there, and for me it's Christmas. Okay, like, wow. Okay, I want that.
Load up the truck.
Yeah, exactly. For them it's like, are you sure you can't take a little bit more? And I go like, well, it's okay for now, I'll just check it.
Come back tomorrow.
Yeah, and the great thing is that it brings also a design issue, because before I used to work just with these straps, you know, made of cotton fabric, you know, organic cotton. So if the product was black, I would use this. If the product was a printed one, I would use this also, okay? But now I'm able to actually do a mix match and include a design value, and, you know, making it look even nicer, so that, you know, consumers feel even more appealed to actually buy the product. It's also important because it makes the brand more attractive in terms of design, and that's also something that we incorporate. And it's another thing that is very important, is that we include our partners in there. So for instance, we take the fabrics, we take these straps with different colors, and then we say, okay, now you're going to creatively put them together. So we are stimulating their creative process as well. We don't want to do it alone. We don't want our partners just to be people who make things. We want them to be part of the whole process, of creation process as well. Okay. So
I love that, because it's you've got a whole staff of designers automatically, because everyone's helping in the design process. And I think when they see the results of their work and what they've finished, you know, there's so much more like love and excitement about that, because they were involved in the whole process, instead of, like you said, just here, sew this, you know, sew this whole stack of bags. Like you're allowing that each person to have a stake and a part in making the product. And I think that just adds so much more love and care and value, like you said, to each piece. Every piece is kind of customized artisan type of product. And then you're using, when you have all the different scraps, they could all look different too. Like, you know, each one can be unique because it's got slightly different print or a portion of the fabric that's left over. And so all those are really neat attributes that are in your product.
Yeah, I can actually let you in a very sneak peek of something that we want to do, which is a t-shirt collection with all the small scraps of fabrics that we have. And we're going to let the creativity up to our social partners. We're going to tell them and go through the concepts, but the creativity, like where do I put this or that, and it's going to be up to them. So like you said, and rightfully so, your t-shirt will never be the same as mine, because it's got incorporated into it something that somebody actually wanted to look at, and somebody who actually designed it in their mind and wanted to do it differently. And there's one thing that is very important that you said, Britta. In the institutions, we saw that, for instance, if you're doing tapestry, which is very common in a social institution, you know, to teach kids how to do that, it takes like sometimes up to a month or even more to actually see the final product. By the end of 1 week, they're literally frustrated because they can't see the end to it. It's very hard. So with our products, after a maximum of 30 minutes, they have the final product in their hands. So that brings a lot of satisfaction, you know, like, I did it, this is mine, you know. And when you do that, they actually go like, can I see it on Facebook? Are you going to post it? Then they go, oh, this is mine. Oh, I loved it. And, you know, and this brings a lot to the equation of the feel-good sensation, you know. I normally say that I owe a lot of hours to my bed, and every time my bed winks at me and go like, hey, miss, there's a couple of hours missing, and I go like, shut up, you know, every time I go and see these kids, you know, and these older seniors that are now working with us as well. And you see the satisfaction and the glow in their eyes because they're contributing and they know it's going to be part of something. And they go to the website and they show their friends, their family and all. It's so great because, like you say, it's a tender engagement, you know, and then they're able to actually see the final product. So that's
so
great.
Yeah, so rewarding. You had shared with me previously that there was a woman that was in her 80s and she had always wanted to sew and never had the opportunity. And now she's one of your makers. And so isn't she now like training people, or she's doing so well and loving it so much?
Yeah, and she embroiders as well. She's a perfect embroidered. Actually, I'll show you at the end. We generously call her auntie when she allows us. But yeah, that's a fantastic thing, and that's one thing that we're very proud of, is actually to bring this joy into our seniors, because they have so much to give. They have still so many dreams to fulfill, and sometimes we forget about that. Quite honestly, I don't know there, but here, I mean, we always think about volunteering projects and bringing this social thing into the equation for children. We're very worried about children. Of course, they're the future. But I'm very, how should I say? I love the fact that we're able to bring this into our seniors, because I always remember my grandmother, that she was always very active and very knowledgeable. And to throw away this knowledge just by thinking that they can't do anything else, that's it, that's the end of the road. It's so bad. And we're able to bring so much more and get so much more from them, because they do it in a genuinely way. So for instance, this lady, I don't know if I told you, but what they're going to do with the money that we're paying them, this group, because this group has 6 ladies. One of them has got Alzheimer, another one dementia, another one has mobility problems. But then there's this lady that she's just 85, you know, she's perfectly fine in her health. I mean, mentally, she's so active. So she told me, and she said, okay, we decided as a group that with the money we're going to get from RE.store, we're going to on a trip to Fatima, which is a religious center here in Portugal, right? And then she looked at me with a very, very specific glow in her eyes, and she said, and we're going to stay at a hotel, because we never slept in a hotel. So this was just, I think in all the rewards I've had with this project, I mean, I think this is the one that actually touched me more deeply. Because we take it for granted. We take it like, oh my, it's such a normal thing for, you know, most of us to sleep in a hotel, because, you know, it's part of it. And then just being able to provide this to this lady and these ladies, it's just something that you say like, wow.
Yeah, you've given them a whole new meaning and purpose. And yeah, it's just gives me goosebumps to think about. So it's the first time she's going to travel and stay in a hotel. It's going to be the biggest treat of her life.
Yeah. So this is the KPI we cannot measure, okay? But it's a story that needs to be told so that people understand what RE.store. RE.store is also this. Actually, in essence, that this is what RE.store is, okay? So we're changing many small worlds, and that's what we're trying to do in very different aspects.
Definitely are, yeah.
Yeah. So we also have some what we call solidarity collections. So on top of everything we spoke about our products, we also give some money to some institutions or associations. For instance, in this case, we have a Portuguese association that helps victims, all kinds of victims. It's a national association. So on top of you buying the bag, knowing that we are repurposing textiles, knowing that this has been made or confectioned by people unique within their differences, we're also donating a part of this bag to this association, okay? The next one is also a shopping bag that we are also donating money to an animal association. So if you buy this bag, you'll have that. We also have another one based on a foundation, a national foundation from a TV channel. And we have one that is really nice, which is this, you may ask, okay, Silvia, what does dried flowers bouquet has to do with RE.store? This was actually something I love this product. Why? First, if you buy dry flowers, they last. I love flowers. I love plants. But I know that 1 week, maximum 2 weeks, except for orchids, I mean, they're gone. And then you say like, oh, okay. So in this case, we have something that lasts. The paper comes from a textile process called sublimation. And the paper is literally incinerated like tons every day. Okay, so the paper that is wrapping it is from that, and the bow is leftovers from textiles. So I think I have one here. See? So you have the paper that goes around it, like with small. This one actually doesn't have a motive; it's gone. But you know, see. So we're not buying paper; we're reusing it, and then we have the bow that comes from like little straps that we can't use anywhere else. So we make a bow out of this, and of course the label that you can plant explaining the process. And on top of this, we also donate a part of this value to a local association that is helping to feed a lot of families that need that kind of care. Okay.
So where are you getting the dried flowers from? Are they kind of like leftovers from a flower shop, or?
A local florist that we met in another project. She's such a lovely lady. She's very, very, you know, she pays a lot of attention to details. She's got a fantastic social, how do you say, approach as well. She's always willing to help others. So it's that thing that I told you before. I mean, every road takes you to the right people, right? Like when you start all these things, people start, you know, coming to you, or you meeting people that are, you know, in within your wavelength. In this case was, well, that's her name, yeah. And so I came to her and I said, I have this crazy idea, and she goes, tell me. Like, okay, really, you having crazy ideas, fine. So I told her, and she said, oh, that's a lovely idea. That's really nice. So I bring the paper and the bows to her and everything. She only, you know, composes the bouquet, and then all the rest is supplied by us. But it's a lovely product. Like I said, if you come out of the box, you don't have just to limit yourself like with what would be expected from RE.store, which is textiles. No, you can actually add these things as well, and bring the social equation into it, because you could ask, yeah, this is nice in sustainable ways. What about the social? Since I didn't have the social part, I added it by donating part of it to a social association. So it's there. Those are the two elements that can never fail in a RE.store.
Can I ask you a question about, from a business point of view, if you're, so are you a non-profit or you're for-profit?
We are a company in Portugal. For instance, in Spain, you can actually have a company like ours, what we call like a social innovation company, and you have some fiscal benefits. In Spain, you have that, for instance, but in Portugal, no. It's like a normal company. So we decided to create a company for fiscal purposes, but also it will be easier to run. But at the same time, because I also want to tell, I won't say the world, because once again would be presumptuous, but, you know, Portuguese in our case, to tell that you can actually run a company like ours, make a difference, be profitable, and there's no shame in say, okay, I make a profit of this, but the difference is I make a profit with a purpose to actually give it back to community, and knowing like, what can I do with this? Okay, because the purpose of RE.store. So, but at the same time, telling people that you can actually have a company like this and make it in a way that doesn't leave out of charity, or doesn't leave out of just, you know, funding or whatever. No, you work your way through together with your partners, and that's the best thing, because they feel that as well.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for the saying of people, planet, and profits. Like you want to still make a profit so that your business is successful, the people that you're paying is successful, you know, and it goes down the chain. Like you said, every little thing makes a big difference down the road, and domino effect, and then
as long as, sorry,
I was just going to ask, so when you work with these specific organizations, how do you just arrange something like, say, we're going to give you 10% of every purchase back, or do you have to go through that whole process with them? And does that make that more difficult, like business wise? Because you have so many different, say you have 4 or 5 or 6 organizations that you're working with. Are they each different, and you have to do like some sort of contract agreement? How does that arrange?
We have a protocol with which one of them, mostly because it says that they're able to work with us, you know, technically, because that's important. Because like I said at the beginning, our product needs to be robust, needs to be functional, and if it needs to be reliable. Because if you buy a tote bag that goes bad after you go the first time to the supermarket, you say, okay, this is nice to help this social issue, but that's it, I've done my part. We don't want that.
quality is poor.
So this means that technically I have to validate, and also important because you're bringing this also to their houses, telling them that it's important to be aware of the details. It's important to be aware that you're just a cog in the machine, in the sense like, if you do something wrong, this will affect the business. This will affect the chain. So we need to be ready to accept, what we need to change, what we need to improve. So there's, once again, pedagogy in the middle and telling them how to integrate. In terms of business model, we don't work with percentages. We work with what we call with work, in the sense like, the only thing that they do is the makeup, okay? They confection the products and we pay them for that work, okay? So at this stage, okay, you make 500 bags. If we pay in Portuguese terms, 1.15 euros per each bag. So you just multiply that by 500 bags and that's what you will pay. So you worked, you carried out a task and you're being paid for it. In the protocol, we have a list of what we pay per each product. And if they agree, then they're able to work with us. What I do, for instance, with the energy crisis and a lot of things happening in inflation and all that, I tried, of course, to adjust some of the prices I was paying according to of course, the business model, because the only thing that you actually make use when you're making our product, most of all, is electricity because of the sewing machines. So that's the thing where you have most of your impact, right? So I'm also being attentive to that, and trying to, be as fair as possible, because that's the purpose. It's for people to feel comfortable with us. Because if they don't feel comfortable with us, there's no point in working with us, So yeah, the business model is that, okay, we agree on the sum that they're going to receive for their work. We pay for it, even if we don't sell, of course. That's why I say it's a guaranteed income, because you work, you paid. If I don't sell it in my website, well, tough luck. That's my problem.
That's where you come in as the marketing genius to get them sold.
So it's important for the members of our tribe to actually understand that once they're buying a product from us, it means that that product has already been, the confection of that product has already been paid for to the person or the association that actually made it. That's also something, part of the transparency that I was going to say before. It's important that people understand our process, and they understand that, for instance, to work with us, these partners need to issue a receipt. If not, they won't be able to work with us, because we're a company. Every money that goes out needs to have a receipt so that we can go to the accountants. And it's not just a financial thing. It's important for them to understand financially, to become more literate in terms of financial issues, to understand how it works. Even for instance, people that are here under the status of refugees, for them to be able to give back to Portugal, because we welcomed them and we were able to give them something for 2 years, but then for them to go to our finance system, to be able to enroll, pay taxes, and being able to sign a receipt, for them it's just something. And if you do that, for instance, like we have people from Syria, Afghanistan, where normally we know that women do not have that role. And when they come to Portugal, and they're normally the ones enrolling in the Portuguese finance system and actually signing the receipts, this is woman empowerment. It's something that I never thought RE.store would be able to contribute to. But then, as we go along, we keep adding these things to the project, which is just unbelievably rewarding. It's really nice.
You maybe you're going to get to that in one of your slides coming up here, but I'm so curious how you, number one, how do they find you, or you find them? Because I'm sure they're scattered all over, and then getting them up and running with, a sewing machine, or going to a location where they can sew. And are you gonna, maybe you're gonna get to that part, but I'm really curious how that all works.
We have both.
They arrive in the country and may not have any idea, or maybe even don't speak a common language. So how are you, connecting?
Google Translator is my best friend. No, but you know, I don't know in US, but here most of the refugees come through specific associations that actually orient them, and even before they arrive to the country, they do a fantastic job in trying to find them a house, a job, you know, a community to belong to, that kind of thing, so that you know the shock won't be that big. So, for instance, I work with 2 associations in specific here in my hometown, Braga. So they know the work we're doing. So every time they know that a family is arriving that has some skills in terms of sewing, they immediately call me and they say, look, a family is coming and they have this potential and they've worked, can you help? So the only thing I do, I have like a kit that I have prepared. So I leave the kit with them to see if they can do the tote bag. And if the tote bag is according to our specific requirements, immediately we consider them as a partner for our products. And then we start with the basic, which is a tote bag, but then we try to bring some difficulty into the equation in the sense, or I won't say difficulties, I would say an upgrade, because sometimes for them a tote bag is really basic, and so we want them to feel motivated. So we bring other products, we bring a new development. If I feel that the person is technically valid, if I have an idea for a product, then I come next to them and say, okay, in paper, I want this, this, and that. What do you think? And so they actually bring their contribution that. So that's one of the ways. Another way is for me to do an active search within our network and our website as well. If you go to our website, there's a part there that says, if you want to be our social partner, please enroll here and let us know your data. And then we contact them as well. So, but of course, at first was a bit difficult because I had to knock on many people's doors, but now that we have results and, you know, luckily, well, not luckily, because we work a lot for this.
We work very hard.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, people actually call us and they say, oh, we have this, would it make sense for us to work together? So I never say no. I always listen and I tell them what I need. And then they tell me, okay, at this stage we can't, but probably within 3 months we'll be able to talk again. Or I try to bring them solutions. For instance, imagine there is a social institution. They have everything, including the sewing machine and the I don't know if the word is threads.
Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
But they don't have anybody to actually handle the sewing machine. And the first thought that they have is like, we can't work with RE.store. And I normally say, why? Mm-hmm. Oh, because I mean, we have everything, but we don't have anybody that we can put in the sewing machine. And I said, okay, just go to the local mass and tell people that you need a volunteer. You know, because all the process can be done without. I normally say in a tote bag, I can incorporate 8 people in different tasks. So incorporate 7, and then the 8th person just to sew, just bring somebody that is related to the institution or somebody who lives there, or actually somebody that is from the community, most probably at home, that wants to do something and contribute and doesn't know where. So in Portugal, we do a bit of, I think you guys do the same, you know, the priest is very much your networking facilitator, like, okay, put it together. So I always try to bring solutions into the table when they say, oh, we can't work with you because we don't have that skill. And I go like, okay, either we can't. So I always say like, okay, either I bring my aunt, she used to be a fabulous, and she still is a fabulous seamstress, but she's retired now. But every time I need somebody to go with me to train, she comes with me. And either I do that, or like I said, we find a volunteer. And sometimes you don't even know. I mean, you just pop the question and say, okay, does anybody know how to sew? And normally somebody goes like, oh, I do. Oh, I didn't know you did. So, you know, it's a very interesting process. Yeah. So yeah, that's also something that we try to bring, is for people to understand that you can't just bring problems into the table. Just go and find the solutions, or at least people that have that attitude that will help you to bring some solutions into the table as well. Yeah. So I don't know if I answer your question.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Amazing.
So we also have RE.store paper. I mean, less impact, I would say, but we work with postcards that are made with leftovers with fabric leftovers, and also with the paper leftovers from a local printing house. We also make envelopes. All these are made by hand. Because we also wanted to include guys, okay? Because if you go to a social institution, normally they don't want to be involved into the sewing process.
They don't want to be the sewers, yeah.
Yeah. So we wanted to build, bring an opportunity for them to also be part of RE.store, and that's how we found it. Wrapping paper, for instance, this paper, okay, very quickly. So, and you in textiles, you know what I mean by sublimation. So basically we have loads of factories here, and this paper, once its function is fulfilled, they're literally thrown, well, not thrown away because legally you can't, but a company comes, this is actually from a factory, from a friend of mine. And every month he has like tons and tons of paper once he's printed everything, mostly apparel. And this company, this big truck comes, takes this, weighs, and says, okay, it's X euros for me to take this and incinerate. So he has to pay to get rid of the waste. So every time I go there and I open my car and say, okay, just put it in there. And he goes like, okay, good.
You're saving him money.
Yeah. So, it's a win-win thing. And at the same time, every time he goes into our website and he goes like, okay, I'm also part of this solution, which is something that we always do also to our partners. We always give them a spotlight in the sense like, okay, these are the factories that are working with us and believe in our project and actually trust us, because that's also, also need a trust capital to actually bring everybody to the equation and to believe in what you're doing. So what we have more here, so very quickly. So why do we consider us as sustainable? So, okay, we reuse leftovers and waste from the production. Our brand label is actually woven with recycled polyester yarns. The customized message is also printed with this thermal sublimation technique with water ink to make it more planet friendly. Our straps are made with 100% organic cotton or with leftovers and samples from other factories as well, what I said before. And the paper label, a customized one, is plantable. Why? Because it's made from cotton waste and plant seeds. So this means that when you water it and put it into the ground, it a plant will come up. So that's also an interesting concept.
Yeah, I have received something like that before and planted them, and I just think it's the neatest concept.
Yeah, for us, it's what I call the wow factor, because like I was explaining at the beginning, if you receive a product from RE.store, if I don't tell you what the product stands for, it will be just another tote bag, right? Because nobody tells you what's in there. So I needed something to actually have our value proposition. So, and that's what this paper label is. It tells you like, congratulations, you are now part of RE.store tribe because all the components are planet friendly. We stimulate the creativity of who does them. We pay an equitative, fair and fair wage to the people that are working with us. And in our case, it's made in Portugal, okay? Because, Portuguese textiles are very well known for their quality in all over the world. So of course we also take that into consideration. And then in the back, we actually have the instructions for people to, then we say, okay, now that you know all of this, now you can tear me apart and just plant me. And people will just go like, wow, okay. Wow. It's interesting. That's how we found the way to actually communicate with people what we want to, what we stand for. RE.store paper is exactly the same. So we reuse and repurpose the paper. We give it a new and functional purpose. In this case was a project that we did with a specific association in a close by city. It was called I9, which is nove in Portuguese, in English is 9, but in Portuguese means innovate, okay, the 9. So innovate through the difference. That's what we did. So we were financially supporting them and at the same time bringing them a way to keep them active during the pandemic, which was also very important. as we all know. So we have two sales channels. So of course, B2C through our website and our online store, and through our corporate clients where we produce and bring like turnkey customized solutions. So people, brands can actually work with us for what we call eco and sustainable solutions for merchandising, which is important for people to understand. So what can we offer? Many things in terms of corporate, so team building actions. Of course, they can buy our products. They can buy our products and offer them to the stakeholders. I can actually very quickly tell you about a team building action we did in a school, a private school here in Porto. It was very nice. So they're very, very aware of the sustainable issues, and they want to convey that to their students. So they have what they call a sustainable week every year. So we opened up that sustainable week with explaining them what RE.store is, and then at the end of that week we had this team building action, which was absolutely fantastic. So we brought in teachers, parents, the kids, everybody that belongs to the community, the education community around, and we had they chose the purpose. So for every bag that was actually made during that morning, the price, that the value that we normally pay to the social partners, we took that amount and we are going to donate it to a local pediatric hospital in. And on top of that, RE.store also donated 10% of all the sales that we did during that day. So what this generated was so nice, because everybody would arrive and say, "Oh, I don't know how to sew. Like, I used to do this when I was little, but I'm not sure if I can do it anymore." So after 1 hour, it was amazing, because it was like a factory, and everybody was doing this and helping the other one. No, don't do it like that. No, Silvia said that.
Yeah.
At the end, you had like 2 packed rooms of people making their own bags, knowing that the money would go into this pediatrics aisle, and actually within 2 weeks we're going to hand over that money. So this is a team building action where you work your skills, you work your socials, you bring volunteers, because some of them brought their aunts or brought their nannies or whatever there, because they knew how to sew. They did everything except that. And you had the boys as well doing that, which was really nice. And they were able actually to choose the fabric and choose the accessories. And I want my straps to be that way. So it's really nice. And that's what we're trying to bring into organizations as well. So that's a very nice action.
That's so exciting. And they must have been so just feeling great walking out of there. Like I figured out how to sew again, or I didn't ever think I could do that, and look at what I made.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we did with the little kids. This was actually really nice. We worked with two classes of kids, like their age range was between, I don't know, 8 and 10, I think 8 and 10. So the challenge was, remember that postcard? So we gave them like a clean postcard. We had loads of fabric, scraps all over there. And we just told them, okay, the purpose is for you to create a postcard. Whatever you want, just put it in there, with fabrics, with a design, whatever. And in the back, you're going to write a support and positive message for a child that is in the hospital. Oh, but we don't know the child. That's the purpose. So write like an imaginary friend. Just I don't want you to imagine you being in this place or her place, but, just something nice. Just something nice. Imagine that.
Yeah.
So at first they were like, "Oh, I don't know what to do." So we were able to make 75 of those postcards. Some of them, I must tell you, Britta, that was like, okay, I want to hire you as a design very soon.
They did so well.
Creative, it's just unbelievable. We were like, wow. And then those that said, "Oh, I don't know what to write." Then you start reading those messages. And you start crying, because you go like, "Oh God, they're so pure."
Yeah.
And we've taken a picture of all of them, and those postcards are going to be handed over to the kids also in pediatrics.
Amazing.
yeah, so they have this this friend. I mean, it's such a nice and very simple action that they were able to understand empathy, which is very important. And you were also able to bring into the equation the fact like, okay, see the things that you normally look at as trash, that's not trash. That's something that we can do something with.
Made something beautiful out of it. Yeah. Yeah.
So once again, our tribe, we have the corporate market, we have the public sector as well, schools and universities. Luckily, we keep adding people to these elements and people, and also names and logos, which is very important for us. Once again, our purpose, so we want to change many small worlds, one at a time, of course, but every day we need to do that every day. That's the spirit. I get up in the morning every morning. So the team, I mean, we're very small team, but very, very, very driven and very motivated. So me as the idea creator, João is the creative guy, Isilde is the community manager, and Marlene is the graphic designer that has just started with us recently, but she's completely with the RE.store spirit. So like I said, very quickly, so I'm a trained economist, I'm a passionate marketeer, I think you've noticed that. I'm a social entrepreneur at heart all the time, but most of all, I think that all this led to this last one, which is the positive impact creator. That's what I really identify myself with. I'm engaged in a lot of things. Okay, in branding.
You're a busy person.
I am a busy person, yeah. On top of this, and my most important role is I'm a mother. So that's my most important one.
Number one.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons also why I think I created RE.store, you know, because it's very important for us to feel like we're doing something that we can leave for the next generation, say, I tried. That's important for my daughter to know that her mother tried. That's, I think, the best thing that you can give her. So volunteer projects, also founder of 2 of them, Active Aging and Territory and Youth, in terms of how can I help you. So we help tourists when they come to our city to actually go around, and this is done by students that are learning foreign languages, and they go around helping the tourists, which is really nice. I'm also a volunteer in a very nice project that is called Moving, stands for cloud. We go to the local hospital to read for children that are there. So that's very, very rewarding as well. And I'm also part of the associations in terms of local associations. You know, making it short, like I normally say, I'm a privileged, but I always say I'm a very privileged person, because I do what I love and I love what I do. And when I go to colleges, when I go to schools, I normally tell them, I really hope you'll feel the same way like I do, which is I get up in the morning and I'm working during weekends and whatever. And most of the time I feel like I'm not working, because, you know, I just love it, you know, being part of it. Yeah. And so there is a Portuguese priest from the 16th century that I think he was one of, I think he was a brilliant marketeer, quite honestly, and a content creator. And one of these sentences is exactly, for me, the sum up of RE.store, which is each one's actions are one's essence. Because if you talk about it, oh, I want that, but it's your actions at the end of the day actually count, and the essence of it, that's what you do with those actions, and what those actions can actually bring as the positive impact that I was talking before. So we always use this quote from Padre Antonio Vieira, because that's what we want people to relate RE.store to. It's the essence and the actions. Yeah, so a very short thing on change. I normally call it a rewarding pain. Okay, it hurts, but if you don't change, it will kill you, literally. So this is the pedagogy for change. This is the approach that we have in organizations, but also with students. It's to tell them, like, okay, there's no time to think like if you want to change or if you will like to change. That ship has gone, has sailed. So now it's the thing, it needs to happen. In Portuguese, we have a saying with the 3 Ps, which in English translates to people need people. Okay, in Portuguese makes sense because it's the 3 Ps. The preciso stands for people, sorry, need. So that's basically it. I mean, at the end of the day, if you have that within you, like people need people, I mean, it makes it so easy for you not to damage anything, and to make sure that you respect one's space and, you know, one's ideas and attitudes, whatever, if you just keep such a small thing in mind. In terms of corporate social responsibility, I also try to bring RE.store into companies and tell them that this does have and can have and should have an impact on clients, on workers, on investors, on local communities, most of all, but also, of course, environment and the society itself as a whole. So I normally like to tell companies, like, okay, look at yourself as a change engine, okay? Make it in a way that you feel that way, even in a small token, a small action, like I say, the essence. Don't think like to be socially responsible, you need to invest millions in like electrical cars or solar panels or this or that. No, it's day-to-day things that you can actually make a difference. So I normally bring into my talks, like, okay, you need to equate this relationship between me and the other. At the end of the day, that's it. People need people. The empathy more than ever. The common well-being is not just my well-being, because it's not my planet, it's everybody. It's like a condominium that we have to live together. The social progress of communities where we live in, it's so important. We need to believe that we should contribute for that, or to that. And also in working relationships, because a lot of people spend so much time in the working place that you really need to work that in a way that you make a change. So if we take the you perspective, I normally say, okay, if you want to take the you perspective, at least take the perspective of being a changing drop in the ocean, okay, and bring others into that. In terms of organizations, okay, they need to manage the social and environmental impact of the activity. Look at the activity as a whole and say, okay, what am I doing? How am I doing it? How can I improve it? Listen not only within, but also outside, and go outside and see how you're perceived. You know, take these responsible and socially inclusive business models. Like I said, doesn't have to be like all at a time, you know, every day, see what you can bring in an extra input. Optimize the resources so processes efficiency. You can do it, you know, just sometimes all you have to do is listen to your employees or the people that are actually supplying you with stuff. And you've always done it in a way that you think is more effective or efficient. And at the end of the day, probably not really. So in terms of organizations, it's what I normally think and try to convey. It's really the suitable environment for change. And you should actually cultivate that culture. Well, cultivate that culture, yeah. So as a sum up of all this, okay, we should lead the change into the stakeholders, everybody, okay? Once again, earth, condominium, common condominium. Listen, motivate, it's so important. This pedagogy attitude using the 70s SDGs and the 3R approach as well. Why? Because I'm sure in the States is exactly the same. There are organizations and people within the organizations that have no clue what I'm talking about. Sustainable development goals, what's that? For them, is not, I mean, I don't know. So yeah. Organizations have that responsibility, you know, teaching people, you know, informing them, telling them how can they contribute, and to identify one of them that, you know, could be more suitable to the organization, and, you know, bring something into this equation. For instance, very simple things like, okay, let's collect used materials still good for the nation. That's a simple thing. Promote collective or individual volunteer actions, such as blood donations, the plugging, the beach cleaning, you know, food organizations, active aging, once again, school mentoring, why not? And most of all, this thriving working environment for people, because at the end of the day, people need people. So you really need to concentrate yourself in that. And this could be some of the drops of change of the organizations. So in 2 words, engage and change. Literally, that's how I think things would work, because that's what you do. Because you cannot change if you don't engage, and the rest is the same. But if you put them together, it's such a powerful tool to actually bring people closer into this essence of the actions that I spoke about before. This is actually a picture I took during my Camino.
Oh, very nice.
I love it because it really portrays everything that you bring. It's like, are you willing to cross? Are you willing to cross into your, some of your uncertainties? What's on the other side? What kind of tools, what kind of backpack do I have to actually cross this? I mean, will it wait? I mean, there's so many things in this picture that you can actually bring. So this is another quote that I love from a Portuguese author that says, destiny defines, but the rest is up to me. I mean, something that always guided me since I found, well, I think it always guided me, but I didn't have a sentence to actually put it into words. But since I discovered this and I read him when I went to college, this has always been just in front of me all the time. Like, okay, there are loads of things and variables I cannot control. I cannot, but what I do with those, that's up to me. Yeah, exactly. So this I loved.
That's fantastic. And you've proven that you've done that. You took all your past experience and all of that knowledge and created re.store out of that. And it's amazing what you've done. And I think you're just proof that making those tiny steps, like I'm envisioning you in the beginning of this, making a zillion phone calls, because you're trying to find people to get fabric from, and then you're trying to figure out who's going to make it and how are you going to drive, you need a truck to go get this, and then you have to bring it. Like, all of those things that you went through were just phone calls that you took it upon yourself to just inquire. You're just asking these questions. And from all of that work that you did, even though I'm sure it was hours and hours, and I'm sure it was difficult, it's not that hard to ask the question, right? Like, it can't hurt to ask the question, what can I do? So what can I do with those scraps? Who can I give it to? And over the course, I don't know how long all of that took you to really get it up and running, but you made it happen. And I think everyone can do that little step, even if it's just a little bit of a inquiry or a question, or like you said, just volunteering, and all of those little steps make a big change.
Yeah. So that's
you've proved that it can be done, and you're making a big impact. So.
I mean, thank you so much for those words, because it really summarizes everything that you said. And on top of that, everything that you said at the beginning was done during the pandemic. So that was a challenge. But
well, you gave yourself a purpose, and you gave all the other people that you were contacting a purpose, so that you were engaging them in ways that they couldn't normally. What were we all doing? Sitting around watching, TikToks or whatever, YouTube videos, and you gave purpose to all those people that got involved. So that was again, an amazing, very impressive feat, and just love what you're doing and very inspired.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rita. That means a lot to me, because, being just a couple of miles away.
just over the ocean.
Just that. But, it's just like, we said before. I mean, if you think alike, if you're committed to a common purpose, you will find the people that have this common purpose like you have, even if it's on the other side of the ocean, because that's how it should be, bring people together with the will to actually make a difference. And I guess that's how we were brought together, which I'm really happy.
Yeah, well, I so appreciate your time. And here you can see on screen ways that people can reach out to you. And I know you're very open and willing to talk to people about projects and shipping things all over the world and whatnot. So I would encourage anyone that's interested, buying a product, reaching out to you for a potential, collab project, private label, things like that. Are all wonderful ways you can connect and help help you, continue on this journey. So I have in my shopping cart on the RE.store website several items. So I'm going to be placing an order, and I can't wait to see. They look gorgeous on screen, and I read some of the reviews, and everyone's just, so impressed with the quality and when they receive their order. So I'm looking forward to getting that. And again, thank you for your time. It's been wonderful to meet you and get to know you, and look forward to working with you on other things in the future. And I encourage, again, like everyone to reach out to Silvia here on the screen, or her contact information, or just Google RE.store. I'm sure you'll find it. And thank you for your time, and I'll let you go. I know it's nighttime there.
Yes, and thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been great, and a great talk. And once again, I feel very privileged to get to know people like you and your organization, or what you're doing as well. So thank you so much for that.
Yes,
and I hope
love to share those stories.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good night and be well.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.